I let Brenda Holloway steal my boat because I wanted her to. I literally stood there, coffee in hand, watching her stomp up my driveway in those ridiculous designer heels, waving a stack of papers that looked official enough to fool a deputy, barking orders to two county sheriffs to load my $120,000 Grady White onto a flatbed. I didn't flinch. I didn't even raise my voice. That boat was the last project my wife, Sarah, and I finished before cancer took her. So yeah, for most folks, this would have been a call a lawyer start a war situation. But after 22 years in the Navy, you pick up a thing or two about fighting battles that matter. Sometimes the real win is letting your enemy think they've already won. So when Brenda, queen of the HOA tyrants, came for the one thing that still connected me to Sarah, I didn't just let her, I set the whole stage. The smell of diesel from that trailer mixed with Brenda's cloud of perfume as she strutted around like she'd conquered Troy. She even waved at me. Can you believe that? Waved like she just took my lunch money. She had no clue she was digging her own grave right there on my lawn. You ever had a neighborhood dictator come after you? Drop your city below, because if you've met one Brenda, you know there's more out there. Now, if you want to hear how this ends, well, buckle up because it gets wild. 3 years back, I thought I'd found peace. 22 years keeping Navy ships afloat in places you've only seen on the news. All I wanted was quiet. Sarah and I found a corner lot in Pelican Shores, Florida, 127 waterfront homes. The biggest fight, supposed to be who caught the biggest snook. Our dream was simple. Coffee with the salt breeze, sunset rides, and the old 87 Grady White we'd spent years restoring together. Sarah called it our retirement adventure, that boat. $3,000's worth of rusty metal and faded paint, rescued, rebuilt, polished until it gleamed. We never even got to launch it. Cancer stole her first. So at 52, with my twin girls off at college, I was just a ghost in a house full of memories until I finished that boat. 18 months of sweat and heartbreak, turning grief into a masterpiece. The appraisers said $120,000, but it was worth more than that to me. Turns out, it was worth even more to Brenda Holloway, the HOA president who appeared one morning like a bad dream in a BMW. Blonde, manicured, armed with a clipboard and the sort of confidence only people with no sense of humor can muster. She didn't ask about my boat, she announced it. "We need to discuss your vehicle situation," she said, jabbing at the Grady White like it was toxic waste. "Violates community aesthetics. Too large, too visible, frankly inappropriate for a neighborhood of our caliber. You know the type. Never been punched, never lost an argument, never missed a hair appointment." I told her got city permits. Boat's legal. She just laughed, one of those laughs that sounds like glass breaking. Legal doesn't mean suitable. See, the Hendersons had an RV the size of a school bus. The Patels had a commercial basketball hoop. I asked her if she hassled them too. Brenda had just made notes, bureaucratic vengeance in every pen stroke. Some violations are more prominent than others, Mr. Kellerman. Oh, I saw what was going on. Wrong kind of person, wrong kind of project, and the wrong kind of driveway. That evening, I call my daughters. Emily's in law school. Grace is a business major. They both inherited their mother's brains and my taste for trouble. "Document everything," Emily said. "Investigate her other victims," Grace added. Smart kids. So I started digging. What I found made my Navy buddies look like amateurs. Brenda didn't just dislike boats. She ran the HOA like a personal fiefdom, harassing anyone who didn't fit her image. She had a system. Use her brother-in-law Derek, a county inspector with more nerves than sense, to invent violations. Next thing I knew, Derek showed up waving a badge, listing every infraction from improper drainage to potential environmental hazards from marine fluids. You could almost smell the bribe on his breath. Tom McCall and my neighbor Lou, 70, retired maritime lawyer, caffeine addict, and local legend in fighting bureaucrats. Lou looked over Derek's report and just cackled. "Kid's not even certified to inspect a canoe," he said. Then he called Rita, ex-city clerk, human filing cabinet, and the HOA's worst nightmare. Rita dug up paperwork proving Brenda hadn't filed her annual disclosures for years. That meant, get this, she had zero legal authority. Most people never check, but Sarah taught me. Always check the paperwork. Tyrants love loopholes. Rita showed up with a manila folder thick as a Bible. Records proving Brenda stuffed the HOA board with names of people who'd moved away years ago, rubber stamped her own requests, ignored everyone else's. Lou's grin got predatory. Let's build a case, he said. So I photographed every actual violation. Henderson's RV, Carmichael's lawn, Brenda's own 6-inch too-tall white fence. But I kept it all quiet. No need to tip my hand just yet. Brenda doubled down. She sent out flyers with photos of my boat, organized a community meeting, and even got Channel 7 to cover it. The woman was running a full-on PR campaign. At the meeting, she paraded photos, statistics, PowerPoints, like a suburban dictator selling a war. Only problem? Lou found out Brenda bribed the families who signed her complaint, offering payment deferrals on HOA dues for their signatures. It was shameless, small-town corruption at its most creative. Channel 7's reporter, Jessica Jules, wasn't buying it. She cornered Brenda, asked for real evidence. Brenda bluffed. I caught Jessica in the parking lot, handed her a folder, Brenda's fake authority, her financial games, her own violations. Jessica's eyes lit up. She could smell a scandal. Next day, Jessica aired a story on Brenda's past. 3 neighborhoods, 3 sets of complaints, all for the same scam. Selective enforcement, pocketing funds, bullying residents. That's when Rita called, nearly bursting with excitement. She'd found the original 1987 covenants. Any boat stored before '95 was permanently exempt from new rules. And she had photos, my lot, a boat proof. Game, set, match. You'd think Brenda would back off, but she went nuclear. Filed a $47,000 lien on my house for accumulated fines. But a fake lien's a crime, not just a headache. I got Patricia Vance, maritime law bulldog, involved. She laughed. This lien's a confession, not a threat. Meanwhile, Lou dug up Brenda's financials. $80,000 siphoned from community funds, paid her own lawyers for lawsuits, much of it to Thornfield and Associates, a law firm already sanctioned twice for fraud. Turns out Brenda was running the HOA as a racketeering operation. My daughters called, ready for war. This psycho picked the wrong family, Emily said. Brenda, undeterred, hired private investigators. Men in a white van snapping pictures of me washing my own boat. I waved. Need coffee, boys? They took off like their pants were on fire. But Rita, digging through county records, found Brenda had run this racket across 3 counties. Target vulnerable folks, file violations, steal funds, threaten lawsuits. Classic pattern. We just needed to catch her in the act. That's when I decided to set the ultimate trap. Brenda liked winning, so I'd let her win big. We staged a fake financial crisis. Moved the boat to a public marina. Let word leak that I couldn't pay storage, might lose the house. Brenda's spies spread the news. Lou, Rita, and Patricia set up GPS trackers, audio recorders, the whole deal. Jessica's crew hid cameras. Henderson's family streamed from their window. It was like prepping a Navy sting, only with more coffee and less gunfire. Brenda couldn't resist. First, Dare tried to bribe me, $5,000 to make the boat disappear. I recorded every word. Then Brenda went door to door, telling neighbors I was dangerous, maybe violent, not right since his wife died. She filed a false police report. Sergeant Williams, the local cop, saw right through her story, especially when I produced timestamp footage and phone records. The final blow, Rita uncovered that Brenda had scheduled a victory meeting for the HOA, planning to announce new rules banning boat storage forever, celebrating my defeat. She even printed flyers. All I had to do was wait. Monday, humidity thick enough to chew. I loaded boxes into my truck, played the part of the beaten man. At 11:47 a.m., Brenda called, triumphant. Your boat will be seized today for accumulated violations and unpaid fines. Deputies will assist. The whole thing was recorded with background noise confirming she was already on her way. She showed up, deputies in tow, forged court order in hand. The load of my boat. I begged, played my part, while the hidden cameras caught every second, every word, every fake signature. Brenda posed for selfies. Announced to the crowd, "This is what happens when residents think rules don't apply to them." If only she knew. 6 hours later, the community center was packed. Brenda had set up banners, podium, restored community standards. She started her victory speech, basking in glory, until I walked in. Sorry I'm late. Traffic was murder. You could hear a pin drop. I played Derek's bribery recording through the PA, then Brenda's own voice, filing the false report. Patricia and Rita marched up with files, financials, permits, evidence of everything Brenda had forged or stolen. Then my phone buzzed, target secured, arrest proceeding. Ladies and gentlemen, I announced, while we've been talking, federal agents have recovered my stolen boat and arrested 3 people for conspiracy to commit grand theft. 2 FBI agents walked in. Brenda's smile died. They cuffed her right there, reading her rights. Lou started the slow clap. The room erupted. Justice wasn't just done. It was seen by everyone Brenda had ever bullied. The judge handed down 3 years in federal prison for Brenda, 18 months for Derek, disbarred Brenda's lawyers, and fined a storage facility. But the real win? The neighborhood changed. Residents voted out the old board, elected Rita as president, installed real oversight, got rid of the ridiculous rules, and celebrated with boat shows, fishing tournaments, and a pier dedicated to Sarah. My daughters, now grown, spoke at the dedication, proud of the community we'd helped build, proud of their mom's name being tied to something good. Jessica's documentary exposed HOA corruption statewide. Elderly, single parents, small business owners, all targeted by people like Brenda. But now, they had a blueprint for fighting back. The pattern was always the same. Target the vulnerable, twist the rules, intimidate and profit. But you know what else is a pattern? Ordinary people standing up, documenting everything, refusing to be bullied. Now my boat sits at the end of the dock, running smooth, salt breeze in my face. The coffee tastes like victory. The neighbors wave, the silence is gone, replaced by laughter, music, and life. If you've got your own Brenda running wild in your neighborhood, document everything. Know your rights, build alliances. Don't let the bullies win. Sometimes honoring the people we lost means standing up for those who can't stand up for themselves. Drop your worst HOA nightmare in the comments. Let's trade stories, share strategies, and maybe, just maybe, start turning these neighborhoods into real communities again. Because the next story might be yours.